Hello and welcome to session 4 of the You Are What You Eat Nutrition series. My name is Julia Wilkins from Health New England on the health management team. Today we're going to be talking about protein, some good choices and some bad choices. On your screen you will see a statement. All proteins are good for you. Do you think that is true or false? Well, the answer is false. Not all proteins are created equal or are especially good for you. If you listened to the webinar about fats, you may remember that some proteins have saturated fat and others are more lean. These lean proteins are great and have amino acids, which are the building blocks of our body, as well as omega-3 fats, which are great for brain and heart health, and many other vitamins and minerals. But some proteins have high levels of saturated fat that can bring on cardiovascular disease. Let's compare 3 types of protein that you might be familiar with. We'll look at 6 ounces of a porterhouse steak, 6 ounces of salmon, and 6 ounces of lentils or beans. The steak has about 38 grams of protein, which sounds like a great source, but also comes with 44 grams of fat, 16 grams of those being saturated fat, which is about 3/4 of your daily recommendation. Salmon has a little less protein at 34 grams, but only 18 grams of fat and 4 of them being saturated. Even better, lentils at the same amount of protein, 34 grams, only have 4 grams of total fat and nearly none of them come from saturated fat. So as you can see, there are a lot of great sources of protein, but it's important to look at other things like fat to see if they're actually good for you. Good proteins to choose, or healthy proteins, are often called lean, which means lower fat. You want to eat more of these proteins. Some examples are fish, like salmon, mackerel, or light tuna, shellfish, beans, soy, and poultry, which includes chicken and turkey. Some proteins to limit should be the red meats like beef, pork, and lamb, as well as full-fat dairy. Let's look into healthy proteins in more detail. Fish is a great source of protein with a lot of benefits. Picking oily varieties like salmon provide complete amino acids that help your body function normally. Fish also provides great nutrients like magnesium, selenium, potassium, and vitamins D and B. You may have heard about omega-3 fatty acids. Fish are packed with omega-3s that help the heart and brain. Studies show that populations that consume more fish have fewer incidents of heart disease, cancer, depression, arthritis, and Alzheimer's. One study that looked specifically at the impact of omega-3s was done in Japan. Omega-3s were thought to be great protectors of your heart and brain. Fish is more of a staple in Asian diets, so researchers looked at Japanese men to see if they had a risk of developing heart disease. Even though these men had higher smoking rates, due to their consumption of omega-3s, they actually had a lower risk of developing heart disease, as well as less calcium buildup in their arteries, and twice the amount of omega-3 acids compared to men in other countries. A separate 5-year study looked at brain health and found those who ate baked or broiled fish at least 3 times a week were 25% less likely to have brain damage, which is natural and happens over time. It's normal wear and tear of the brain. But this brain damage can cause stroke and dementia. Omega-3s can help prevent brain damage by keeping the blood flowing robustly in the arteries of your brain. Omega-3s are the building blocks of the brain's chemistry, cells, and artery linings, so they support healthy blood flow to the brain. Shellfish is another option of a healthy protein, which can include shrimp, clams, oysters, scallops, and lobster. It's high in vitamin D and B, omega-3 fatty acids just like fish, and minerals such as zinc. Shellfish actually has more zinc in it than any other food. It's important when eating shellfish or fish to avoid the breaded, deep-fried versions that you might find in restaurants or in processed foods. These can be high in saturated and trans fat. Stick to better alternatives like baking, broiling, pan-searing, or grilling your fish and shellfish. The third type of healthy protein is poultry. Poultry has vitamin B, iron, selenium, and zinc. It's also low in saturated fat, or what we call lean. Healthy ways of cooking poultry can be baking, broiling, or roasting. If you look at the chart on your screen, we'll compare the benefits of chicken versus beef. Take the same size, a 3-ounce portion of chicken and beef, and you'll see that chicken actually has more protein than beef. Chicken has less than 1 gram of saturated fat, where beef has 4.5 grams. So if you're looking for a great protein source, you'll see that chicken is actually a better option with higher protein and less fat. Chicken and turkey have also never been correlated with a chronic disease, so it's a good option for many reasons. Soy is a high-quality vegetable-based protein. It's low in saturated fat and virtually cholesterol-free, which is a good option for those with heart disease. It provides vitamins B, E, and minerals calcium, magnesium, iron, potassium, and selenium. It's also a good source of soluble fiber, which helps with digestion, and again has those heart-healthy fats, those omega-3s that are really important and beneficial. Soy also has phytochemicals. If you listen to the webinar about fruits and vegetables, you'll remember that phytochemicals are found in plants. Plants have developed phytochemicals to protect themselves from their environment, and when we consume phytochemicals, we gain the same benefits that help protect our body against chronic disease. Soy can be easily found in your grocery store in foods that you may have never purchased before. Edamame, tofu, soy milk, miso, roasted soy nuts, or soy flour are great sources. And studies support all these benefits from soy. They show that consuming soy on a regular basis can lower the risk of breast, colon, prostate, lung, and endometrial cancer. When you eat soy regularly, there's an association with lowering your LDL cholesterol, or that bad cholesterol that clogs arteries. And it also protects from osteoporosis by keeping your bones strong and reducing your risk of fracture. Eggs are the source of protein you might think about getting into your diet in the morning. They are lower in fat, but a high-quality source. They provide vitamins like B and E, as well as iron, and contain those omega-3 fatty acids that we've talked about that are so important. How that egg becomes omega-3 fortified is when a chicken is fed food packed with omega-3s. Then when the chicken produces an egg, the omega-3s are passed on and we reap the benefits by consuming them. The best and healthiest way to eat eggs are either hard-boiled or poached. If you are at risk for cardiovascular disease, already have cardiovascular disease, or have diabetes, and you still want to eat eggs, you may want to talk to your doctor first. Your doctor may suggest not eating eggs or reducing your consumption, so ask if they are a good option for you. The last source of protein we will talk about is wild game. So for all you hunters out there, you know what wild game is. It's anything that you can catch in the wild, and the health benefits for us is that these animals aren't farmed. If you took a wild turkey versus a farmed turkey, they're a lot less processed, free from human added antibiotics, and have a lot less hormones. They also have fewer calories, less fat, and less saturated fat than the factory farmed version. And don't forget they're packed with those omega-3s, which are so important to find in proteins. Good sources of wild game come from deer, antelope, moose, duck, goose, turkey, quail, or dove. The reason we talk about healthy proteins and why we should choose them is that they provide a longer lasting and more effective appetite control than carbohydrates and fat. Protein is a natural appetite suppressant, and they're used for more muscle building and recovery versus energy like carbohydrates and fat. The reason proteins control your appetite is that when they are digested, they provide a prolonged and steady level of blood glucose, as opposed to a spike in glucose and insulin with carbohydrates. They keep your brain's appetite center satisfied and slow down the digestion process. It helps your body feel fuller longer, and suppresses that appetite hunger hormone in our body called ghrelin. To determine if you're eating enough protein, try to include a good dose with every meal. The right dose should give you at least about 2 hours of appetite suppression. If you're hungry less than 2 hours later, then you know you need to add more protein to your meals. When it comes to protein, everyone's dietary needs are different. It depends on your weight, activity level, and gender. But you always want to stick to those lean options that we just talked about, like fish, shellfish, poultry, nuts, seeds, soy, etc. And don't forget to get that protein at breakfast. It helps you throughout the entire day. Not only can you get protein in the morning through eggs, but also yogurt and fortified cereal. Now we're going to move on to the unhealthier choices of protein that aren't as lean and can contain high saturated fat. These proteins should be limited. These proteins include red meat like beef, pork, and lamb. You want to stick to about 2 servings or fewer per week, as well as restricting whole dairy products. You don't have to cut dairy products out entirely, just go for the low-fat, skim, or reduced fat versions. Red meats are considered unhealthy mainly due to their high levels of saturated fat. Saturated fat can increase the risk of heart disease and insulin resistance. Red meats are also high in arachidonic acid, which causes inflammation and increases our risk of chronic disease. Red meats don't have those heart-healthy and brain-healthy omega-3s. They actually have omega-6s that compete with omega-3s. And studies show high consumption of red meat are also associated with many types of cancer. When the protein fibers of red meat are heated at high temperatures, they become carcinogenic, which also causes cancer. Beef, pork, and lamb are sources of iron, which can be great if you need iron, but your body absorbs it in the gastrointestinal tract whether you need it or not, and high levels can also cause cancer. Red meats go through a lot of stages to be ready to sell, so they can have a lot of harmful ingredients added, such as antibiotics, hormone residue, pesticides, herbicides, and harmful viruses and bacteria. Full-fat dairy products are a food that you probably want to completely avoid, if not restrict. Options include whole milk, regular cheese, cream, ice cream, and sour cream. They do provide great amounts of vitamins A, D, and calcium, but they also have high saturated fat and high calories, so always choose skim or low-fat varieties. As you can see on the chart, if you choose whole milk versus skim milk, that same 8-ounce portion, you're pretty much doubling your calories and consuming 8 grams of fat versus virtually none in skim milk. The healthy and unhealthy proteins all have great sources of protein, vitamins, and minerals. The difference is in the calories and the saturated fat. When you're thinking of swapping out those full-fat dairy products with lower fat, think about yogurt. Yogurt contains a lot of calcium. 8 ounces of yogurt can provide 30 to 40% of the daily recommendation. You can get all that calcium in just one of those little cups that you buy at the grocery store. Yogurt also contains probiotics, which help the bacteria in our colon, and evidence suggests that it might actually aid in weight management or weight loss. Yogurt is a dairy product that contains nutrients that are easily absorbed and digested. So for those who are lactose intolerant, they can enjoy yogurt because the bacteria in yogurt has already digested lactose. So now let's get started with the challenge. After learning about protein, the challenge over the next 21 days is to do a few things. First, you want to consume no more than 2 servings of red meat, which remember is the beef, pork, or lamb, per week. Avoid all full-fat dairy products, but you can switch them out with lower fat. Eat 3 servings of oily fish a week. Eat 1 serving of beans or vegetables per day. And try to get in that 1 serving of nuts, that little handful, or seeds per day. The tracking form found under this webinar on the website will give you some guidelines and reminders on what to eat. Good luck with this challenge. We know you can do it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Health Management Program Department at healthydirections@hne.com. Thank you.